Hi YouTube drummers, I'm Nick, and just for fun I thought I'd do a little show and tell on my Yamaha Stage Custom Drum Kit. This is the kit I used for playing at church on Sundays, and I affectionately call this one my church birch. And it features 6-ply birch shells, 1.5 millimeter triple flanged hoops, absolute style lugs, although they're a little bit smaller than the absolute lugs, and the Yamaha Advanced Sustain system on the toms, or some people call it the Yes system. And the finish is, I think it's called Honey Amber, and it's really summery and upbeat. I really like it. I took the stock UT heads off and put some Remo Pinstripes on, which are all brand new except the 16. I took this off an old Yamaha recording custom floor tom. And the snare drum has a Coated Emperor on it, and the bass drum has a Evans GMAD on it. So I'm being a rebel and mixing brands on my heads here. Not much dampening, just a little piece of duct tape about 3 inches long on the snare drum with some tissue under it, and then the bass drum just has a bath towel on it that's lightly touching each head. And of course it has I think I have the thicker dampening ring on the GMAD head. The configuration is a 20-inch Fusion 6. The sizes are 10 by 7.5, 12 by 8, 14 by 13, and 16 by 15. The snare drum is 14 by 5.5, and the bass drum is a 20 by 17. You know, I really like the sizes. I'm still getting used to the look of the shallower floor toms, but that doesn't bother me nearly as much as the excessive depth of the bass drum. I think 17 is a little too much, and I really prefer a 20 by 14. Gotten to know a couple 20 by 14s pretty well. 20 by 14 size sounds a lot bigger in my opinion because of the way the front head gets more engaged. But that's not to say a 20 by 17 doesn't have its perks. It really not as trampoline-like and a little bit more controllable, and it lends itself to a more 22-esque playing style and head setup. One of my only gripes about this kit, besides the size of the bass drum, is the fact that the bass drum hoops are unfinished on the inside. I think it'd be well worth the extra cost to have some professional-looking bass drum hoops on this kit, especially as the unfinished hoops are the only obvious outward-facing, cost-conscious corner cut. Only outward-facing, cost-conscious corner cut. The only obvious outward-facing, cost-conscious corner cut. Mecca lecca hi, mecca hiney ho. So, I would really like to see some prettier bass drum hoops, but hey, I don't think anybody's going to notice except me. The spurs are awesome. The tom mount is your standard Yamaha, you know, just tasty and not too much. Some companies have a really gaudy big bass drum tom mount, and so, you know. The snare here is a 10 lug, and the throw isn't real flashy, but it's super functional and unobtrusive, and the butt plate is really solid. Everything's drum key operated, and it's relatively sensitive. You know, it's pretty utilitarian drum. I don't have any gripes about it, except I think the dynamic range isn't great, but that probably my fault in the fact that I got a Emperor with a piece of duct tape on it. So maybe I ought to try an Ambassador or something and see how it does. But, you know, overall pretty satisfied. The toms, I really love playing these toms. They're really warm and nice attack and well balanced and just the right amount of sustain for this type of gig. And I like how the floor toms feature the traditional leg bracket instead of the yes leg bracket. I've got some toms with the yes bracket, and the thing is that they're drum key operated, so it takes a little bit more care in setting them up, and then and they're mounted horizontally instead of vertically, so the legs don't feel quite as solid on the shell. But these have the traditional leg brackets, which are nice, and they sound great. Overall, this is a really well-built set of drums. You know, there's some details that keep it in the price point that it is. As I mentioned, the bass drum hoops being one of them. But you know, most of the stuff nobody's going to notice. There's some magic marker marking the ply cuts on the inside of the shells, which looks like they're sanded pretty nicely, but I don't know if they're finished or not. I don't think they are. And the 1.5 millimeter hoops might be a little chintzy for some people, but I think they work just fine, and I think they look fine. I've had a lot of Yamaha stuff, and it is so reliable and well built, and so I'm really happy with this kit. I got it used on eBay, and it cost me $550 for this 6-piece kit. It was in almost perfect shape. The only thing was it wasn't put together. It was all disassembled and nested. It was pretty well packed, but I had to put everything together. And once I did, I was really impressed by the look. And then when I set it up and played it with some good heads on it, impressed by the sound as well. Awesome value. These drums are worth way more than they cost. Anyway, I hope that was helpful to you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for watching, and enjoy the fleeting summer.